Yo, what is up, guys? This is JJ Gaming, and today we're gonna be doing another episode of Debate Week with the Forgotten Warrior, who is the guy on our screen right now. Today, our topic is who is the better communist? Alex is saying that it's Joseph Stalin, but I'm saying that it's Mao Zedong. So tell me, why is Joseph Stalin the better communist?
Well, I have to introduce myself.
All right, do it.
Nah, obviously Stalin's the better communist. Stephen,
Do you know
who's the
why?
one? Who was the one that instated communism in the first place?
Not him. It was Lenin.
Not him. It was Lenin. Still Soviet Union.
Did you know that
Camera's
Joseph?
really laggy. Really sorry, my Wi-Fi sucks.
Did you know that Joseph Stalin came from Georgia, like which is not a part of Russia? Stalin is from Georgia. He's not a real Russian. Now Mao Zedong though, like he's from China. He's from the People's Republic of China. He's from the homeland, the motherland. And you know, like he kind of like he started the backbones of the People's Republic of China, and then he led everyone into the Great Leap Forward. I mean, I gotta have respect for a man that can like starve 30 million people and still like hold power for like another 20 years. So I don't know. Did how
Can I
many
switch
people?
dictators? Can I switch dictators?
Nope, nope. You pick Joseph Stalin. You can't. You
I'm
can't
going
turn.
with Lenin, idiot, founder
Okay.
of communism.
All right. Well then. All right. Lenin. I guess
Still Russian.
Lenin's.
You can't let me not do that. Still Russian.
All right. Go with Lenin then. Go with Lenin. I guess. I suppose. So why is Lenin the better one?
Yes. Lenin
Yes.
was Russian. He's a real Russian.
Okay. Well, what's he done though? Besides
He
like.
instated he instated communism in Russia, and then made it the Soviet Union. Took over leadership. He started the People's Party of the Soviet Union, and then he also started the revolution in 1917 for
Okay.
communism.
Okay, you got good points there, but my buddy Mao Zedong, like, he had to defend the great imperial Japan from like he had to defend it like China from them, and like that wasn't an easy task because like Shanghai is a pretty big city and it has like a pretty big attitude, and Mao Zedong had a pretty big attitude too. So like they fought with the nationalists and they're just like the Japan. They're like, excuse me, this is my property. This is my property. Like you didn't pay rent for this. You didn't buy that. You didn't like the this is the wrong monopoly board. And so like they just shoved them out after World War II. And like the economists, they had the guts. Like as soon as those Imperial Japanese were out of there, they just went back to war. Like went back to civil war, and then like 3 years later, like everybody was communist. And like 10 years later, then there was the Great Leap Forward. And starting in 1967 was the Cultural Revolution. Did Russia have a Cultural Revolution? People in China evolved. Okay, they became more communist like by the minute. Did that happen in Russia? Did it?
Yes, yes.
When was
Lenin
that?
instated Lenin instated communism in 1917. Okay, he
That's
killed
right.
off the royal family. He killed off the royal family. The royal blood was no more.
Mhm.
Okay, when Stalin took over, Stalin started to industrialize the Soviet Union, so
Mhm.
turning from all farmlands to factories and all that jazz. So there
Yeah.
was an evolution there, and then
But that was the
yeah,
Industrial Revolution. That wasn't the Cultural Revolution. You know what? Mao Zedong did the same thing during the Great Leap Forward. Like that was in 1958 they started doing that. And you know what? China grew to be the second biggest economy in the world. Did Russia do that? No. They didn't do that. Like in fact, Canada is a stronger
no,
economy than
no,
Russia.
but Russia became the second biggest superpower in the world.
China's a
Did
super.
China do that?
Yes, they did.
Did China
China's.
do that? Did China do that?
Yeah,
Was
they.
China a superpower during the Cold War?
Well, not really, but like they are now.
There
Russia's.
you go.
They are now though. We aren't talking about 1990s. We're talking about the
Well,
2020s.
then why are we talking about Mao Zedong and Stalin or
Because
Lenin?
because they were the original founders of communism. Like they like
There you go. We're not talking about the '90s or before. We're talking about now, but we're going to talk about the 1910s and 20s.
well, like the thing is that the the USSR collapsed, dude. It collapsed. It completely collapsed in 1990 Uno. And did China collapse? Nope. They didn't collapse. They were just fine. They were just fine. They're still fine, okay? They're better than they were in the 90s. Russia hasn't come back anywhere near as strong since the USSR collapsed. Like they've been on a recession greater than the 2008 financial crisis for the last 30 years.
The reason China didn't collapse and the Soviet Union did was because China wasn't fighting against the US. They were already all communists. There was no Chinese war like the Vietnam War or the Korean War. They they were just already communists. They weren't fighting the US. Yeah, they might have fought beside the Soviet Union, but they weren't one on one. The reason the Soviet Union crashed was because all the countries that Middle Eastern countries that the Soviet Union took over trying to grow their land wanted to be separated, but they were still communist. So that's why the Soviet Union broke apart and then became Russia again.
Well, the thing is like the US and China have fought together. Like the Korean War involved China and the US, and you know what? Like the US they kept on pushing their asses up to North Korea, but then China said, "Nope, nope. You're not coming into China." They forced them back into they forced them into South Korean territory. The Chinese beat the US in 1953 because they didn't conquer North Korea. That was their plan.
Actually, North Korea tried to conquer South Korea, and North Korea was surrounding the capital of South Korea, Seoul. So the U.S. had to and Canada had to go in and fight uh, to gain their land back. And to this day, South Korea and North Korea are still divided by the 57th parallel,
It's actually the 30
and
that's
they
the
haven't.
37th parallel. And also the thing is North Korea might have been the ones who started the war, but China was the ones that helped them get back into it. Like North Korea and China's militaries had nothing to do with each other in comparison to comparing North Korea's military to the US military is like comparing a golf ball to a giant stadium ball on the top of the NFL stadium. Like it's just not comparable. Like you could compare that. You could come like modern China
Well,
and
during the
modern
Cold War,
USA
during
was.
1953 to 1956, the 3 years that the Korean War happened, um, or 4 years, I forget how many
It
years,
was
but
not. It was from
the
1950 to
span of
1953.
the 3 years, um, but South Korea and North Korea were both run by vicious dictators. So technically, the U.S. had to fight alongside the opposite type of government to push out the opposite economic beliefs.
Well, well, they did that, but what the U.S. had to do, like, they had to deal with South Korea. I mean, China had the full support of North Korea. Like they had the communists with them to begin. So the thing is they may have been able to get up to them, but they never got past that. I mean that goes back to the whole point of the communism to begin with. It's like
That was
if
the
it
whole point. That was the whole point of the Korean War was to push back the communists. It wasn't to completely make Korea capitalist. It was just to push back the communists back to their 37th parallel.
well that's true. Like they're both neutral then, but that neutrality then was that was 70 years ago. Like the thing is like ever since like 2000 or
And
2000s.
since then, there hasn't been any communist invasion at
Well,
all.
the thing is like
They've kept their boundaries.
that is
Yeah,
true.
Kim Jong Un came down across the border. That was big.
Well, that's true. Like, but the thing is like North Korea could like nuke South Korea if they really wanted to. But like, the thing is about the Korean War is
If
that
they really wanted to, yeah,
they could. But the thing is that the Korean War that took place like almost 70 years ago. The thing is that like China was still pretty powerful back then, but like they weren't at their fullest potential. If you start at the 2000s, they've been on a rapid economic increase since then, and like the US has been steadily slowing down. Like each year after the 2000s, like China has been getting further and further up. They're going to pass the US by like 2030 like, and that goes back to Russia cuz like
yeah.
Russia can't do that.
That's why everybody's predicting a that's why everybody's predicting a second Cold War against the U.S. and China instead of Russia because
That's
China is getting so powerful,
that's what I mean.
and the
Like
U.S. is just doesn't want to lose their power.
that goes back to my whole point. It's not like Joseph Stalin or Lenin. Like they weren't the ones who made China that way. That was Mao Zedong. That was all him.
Yeah, but Stalin and Lenin made the Soviet Union communist,
But then it fell down. Like
and then
China.
it fell down under the power of
Okay,
Voronskov. Voronskov
let's not forget that China annexed Tibet and some areas like
or
around
someone.
them, and like all of the areas that China's annexed in the last like 70 or more years, they have not lost those territories, and like they're continuing to expand. Any like the former expansions of Russia have been shut down. This is
Yes, but if Stalin hadn't had decided to die,
he just like said,
the
okay.
Soviet Union.
Stalin just
He
like
just said,
looked at the
"Okay,
reset
I'm gonna
button.
leave now." But yeah, if he hadn't died, the Soviet Union would have lasted much longer. He would have had more time to train someone to take over for him in the ways that he leads.
The thing with Stalin is that Stalin didn't ever have an appointed successor. Like Stalin assumed that he was
Yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
ruling for much longer. Like the thing is that Stalin never planned to step down, so like he never had a successor.
That's also what happened to Lenin too. Lenin didn't have an official successor. Stalin just took over.
Yeah,
Lenin, the one rule Lenin tried to set before he suddenly passed was no one put Stalin in charge.
he kind
No
of
one let Stalin be in charge.
well, yeah, he kind of put himself in charge, but I kind of feel like this is like actually two things. One thing is I have chicken thighs right beside me, which are actually chicken drumsticks, and I've been super hungry looking at them for like the last couple minutes. And second of all, we've been arguing about Russia more than we've actually been arguing about China and Russia. So I think this would be a perfect time to end off this
Oh,
time's
we
debate.
were debating. We were debating on who's the best communist.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Now
Well,
I just kept bringing up points about Russia.
yeah, and I did about China, but we're about to hit the 15-minute mark,
Yes.
so I'm gonna say that this has been a pretty good debate. Not really sure who lost or won. I think it's kind of a stalemate.
We are all equal.
We're all
We are all
communist.
common.
We're all communist in one way or another. So I think the next debate is gonna be the final one, which is gonna be about the best Christmas meat. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But otherwise,
What? Turkey, obviously.
you know what? You know what? I'm gonna save my opinion for next time on Debate Week. So be sure to stay tuned for that where we like battle it out because there's like many options. I'm not gonna say what mine is, but like some of them is like ham, turkey, chicken,
Honey ham, turkey,
like chicken or something,
Chinese turkey.
Chinese food.
No
But
Chinese turkey.
but that's all for now. Stay tuned for next time. Bye bye.
All right.